Hello and welcome to a very special Get Kafka-Nated live from Confluent Current in New Orleans. I'm joined by a surprise guest, Greg Harris, as we figure out some teething issues on the schedule this morning. But I'm very excited to talk to you anyway because of your talk yesterday. It was awesome. So getting right into it, we've had you on the show before, but you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So my name's Greg Harris. I'm a staff software engineer at Ivan and a committer and PMC on Apache Kafka. And recently I've been doing a ton of work with diskless topics, and it's really been an incredible time. We're seeing tons of community feedback and tons of attention on the project. And it really seems like people are excited about diskless topics and they want to hear about it here at Current.
Yeah, it's been very exciting talking about diskless these past couple of days. On that note, what has been your kind of favorite moment thus far out of Current? What have you really enjoyed?
I think the stuff that I've really enjoyed was hearing from some of the researchers that are working on Kafka and working on other streaming systems. There's some really interesting cutting edge research on low latency streaming applications that I think have a lot of learnings that we can adopt in diskless, learnings that we can apply to classic topics even. So it's really cool to see the academic side show up here at Current. I think that's something that we've lacked in the past, and so I'm really excited to see it now.
Super exciting. I've had a lot of fun watching some of the hallway track conversations about the future of Kafka, a lot of deep dives into how can we make this better. It's very exciting. One question, a little bit of a non sequitur that we're asking everybody today. Do you have a favorite Kafka war story? I think you've been in the trenches with Kafka a while now. Do you have a real a bad day with Kafka going good or something like that you want to share?
I've had some bad days with Kafka. I can remember there was one morning I got paged in the morning about 6 a.m. And we were dealing with or the incident that we were dealing with was people's consumers were just sort of getting stuck in infinite loops. It would consume some piece of data, that piece of data would be bad, it would cause an infinite loop. And every time we would try and kill the thing that had the infinite loop would move somewhere else. Because of course, when you lose a consumer, it goes and moves over to another place. And we tracked down the infinite loop. I looked at it and I blamed the code, and I saw that one of my coworkers had recently changed it. So I messaged him on the side, you screwed us over, you caused an infinite loop. And then that got him so incensed that he went and investigated it. He figured out that it wasn't his fault. He just touched the code last and was able to give us a remediation, give us a patch, and let us move on and get that customer back on the day. But by the time we got it all resolved, it was 10 in the morning. All of the energy had gone out of my brain, and I was just beat the rest of the day. It was awful, but we managed to fix it.
Hell yeah, we love a story with we managed to fix it.
Yeah.
I have had my usual experience with Git blame is that I run it. I was oh, me, my fault. But yeah, always fun when it isn't.
Yeah.
One final question for you as we get the show a little bit back on the road. What are you excited to see from Current with this last day of the show?
I'm really excited to see the community aspects of Kafka show up out here. I think that there's been a couple of panels, and I think the keynote today was all about the community aspects of Kafka. And I really, because I'm such a strong proponent of open source and the open source community, I think that's what really matters, that all of this is built on top of. And to be able to see that here is really exciting. Not everything is big business and AI. A lot of it is community and getting changes in and making Kafka better for everybody. So super exciting.
Great stuff. We love to see it. Well, thank you so much for
thank you.
Always a pleasure, and looking forward to have you back on the show to talk about diskless soon.
Yes, of course.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
And we are now returning to our regularly resumed programming with Sam Barker. Hi, Sam.
Hey, good to meet you.
Great to meet you in person. How's it going?
Good. I enjoyed both keynotes. In fact, today's was really interesting.
Speaking towards me a little bit. Perfect. Thank you. So, do you want to tell the people at home a little bit about who you are and what you did?
Yep, I'm a principal software engineer at IBM, though more relevantly for everybody, I'm one of the maintainers of the Proxylicious project, which is a fully open source proxy for Apache Kafka. So lots of really interesting things to do around that.
Amazing. I love the shirt also. It always, I think, I mean, biased to Ivan, but the good animal logo is always a nice place to start for any project,
Oh,
right?
Proxy's a really popular mascot. Especially even with my kids. They don't know a thing about computers or Kafka, but they like the crocodile.
It's got a lot of charisma.
Exactly.
Just Proxy. You're also, I should say, a writer of a very good blog on all things Kafka and streaming, which is definitely a source of inspiration for me with Get Kafka-Nated. So thank you for that. So one question that we're asking everybody today, and I bet you have some good answers for this. Do you have any war stories with Kafka where you've been in the trenches and you figured something out that you'd like to share with people at home?
I've actually avoided running Kafka in production for quite a long time.
Hell yeah.
I've sometimes find myself contributing to the Kafka ecosystem without running a production cluster. So I'm a bit short on the it's blown up on me and gone but nasty stories. So.
I feel like that's the way to live. Right, like I do not miss being on call. I do not miss dealing with production issues.
No, exactly.
Maybe a similar question then in the open source space. Do you have a kit you're particularly excited about at the minute? And I won't be offended if you don't say Diskless.
Actually, Diskless is one of the ones I'm really excited. It's one of those big game changers for Kafka.
Yeah,
And I'm really interested in the implications it has for Kafka as a cluster. And once you start to go Diskless and you start to be leaderless as well.
Yeah.
Why do you have a cluster of brokers, and why do you go region, and the implications for that? But I'm following Kafka. I've been following Kafka for a very long time. All about because it was that performance, quorum, and being able to distribute data around the network really quickly. So I'm also very wary of Diskless and that S3 object storage side of it for the latency impacts. And so I'm really curious to see how that evolves, and really excited to see that Ivan are pushing it along as well. Got a couple of contributors at Red Hat that I know well who are involved as well. But nice to see there's some community-wide momentum and stuff. So yeah, really exciting.
It's a really exciting time. I'm a big fan of the Red Hat team as well, being a former IBMer myself. Like, you guys do some really cool stuff. I still remember the acquisition and me being like, we get all these cool open source people around the office now. This is really fun. As we are current here in New Orleans, it would be remiss of me not to ask, is there anything you've seen in the past sort of day and a bit of conference thus far that's been super exciting or that you've really enjoyed?
I really enjoyed Greg's talk, actually, about Diskless. That I'm a low-level geek, so that's the one that really excites me. I also quite like Simon Albury's talk on Qantas. They got me to the conference, and it was really interesting hearing kind of all the stories and watching where all the Kafka topics and the things that they're doing across the whole data space is really quite interesting. So that was really enjoyable as well.
In your kind of sometimes role as writing about Kafka, what for you is like your approach for taking sometimes these quite abstract concepts about, how do I talk about Kafka? How do I communicate the importance of kits or changes or releases? Like, how do you bring Kafka alive? This definitely isn't me shopping around providing advice.
It's a really tricky topic. You've got to. I find with most software, it's not really about the technology; it's about the stories you tell and how do you construct something that's intelligible. Not analogous isn't quite what I'm looking for, but it's just like, how do you tell a story? How do I make it make sense in a context? Because there's always trade-offs. There's always something that makes sense and doesn't make sense. So you've got to figure out how to put it into a context and how to do that. And so it's finding that in. That's a really tricky one. But once you find a good story, it's so much easier to tell it.
On the subject of good stories, have you ever had something to write about for Kafka that's just been like a total gift? You're like, oh, this is really fun to write about, or this is really easy to explain. Like,
I'm quite biased, but I'm writing the talk for the summit and talking about how to build a filter in Proxylicious and what we can do. And just that story of going, we've built these filters, and this is how it works for us. And then, oh look, this is how we don't know your problem. This is how you add your secret sauce to this as well. It's been really fun. And it was just like, I've been deep in building it for so long, and I just step back and go, oh wait, we've achieved some of those goals that we set out for. This is really straightforward. This is really simple. We could build a nice story going in. Here's the business problem you want to solve. And proxies are really hard sell, right? There's really a compelling use case that says you must have a proxy in place. But once you've got one in place, tacking that little extra feature on, going, oh yeah, I really need it for schema encryption, for encryption at rest. I want to do some schema validation. Well, that's a really cheap thing to do. I want to make sure that it's all data compressed. That's another cheap thing to add once you've got it in there. So being able to tell those stories was really quite exciting.
Super cool. I love the story of like, okay, we're going to build this thing so the Kafka fits, and like really understanding like a new approach or an elegant approach. On that note, we've had a lot of contributors and maintainers and PMC people like on the show. And one question I always love asking, Joseph in particular is a fun person to talk to about this, as I'm sure you know. Do you have any advice for people who are looking to get involved in open source Kafka or in open source in general?
Be curious, read and ask questions. Open source as a community is collaborative. So it's not just about turning up with a smart idea, turning up with a random pull request saying, well, I've done this cool thing. It's rarely going to fly. You've got to get involved, you've got to start asking the questions, contributing, review some code, even if you've not got approval rights, or if you see something that looks strange, ask. And it's a great way to build your reputation for thinking, because that's what people are looking for, is how do you think? How can I trust what you're doing? So yeah, it's read and ask questions.
One more question. What are you excited about for the last day of Current? Like, is there anything you're looking forward to seeing? Anyone you're looking forward to catching up with?
I've got a couple of folks that since I announced I was speaking at Current, I've had quite a few folks pinging me, so I've got a few catch-ups to do there. But mostly, I've still got my session at 2:30 today, so that's where my thing is very much focused.
Make sure you check out Sam's session. Okay, one final thing before we go on to our next speaker. Where can people find you online if they want to check out your work?
Best place to come and check it out is github.com/crotchlicious. You'll find all our code there, all performance tests, benchmarks, design discussions, the whole thing, testing framework. Find us there. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Sam.
Cheers.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you. Okay, folks, we're keeping things going. Our next speaker, you may know him from organising the Apache Kafka meetup in London, Sean Smith from Oslo. Hey, Sean,
how are you?
How's it going?
Yeah,
it's a pleasure to see you on the way from home.
Yeah, it's been great coming here, actually. See like the American community and see how big the event is over here compared to London. It's amazing to come here, to be honest.
Everything's bigger in the States, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to just quickly introduce yourself to the people at home and talk a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, I'm Sean, co-founder and CTO really at OSO. We're a Apache Kafka consultancy. So all we do is build, deploy, configure. We build, deploy, configure Apache Kafka clusters for enterprises, on-prem, cloud, build connectors, anything to do with Kafka, really. That's really what we do. So yeah, it's pretty much what ours.
I was teeing you up as well, introducing you as one of the organisers of the London Apache Kafka meetup as well.
Yeah, so we're custodians really, and it's one of the biggest meetups, to be honest, around Apache Kafka, especially in Europe. We get 30, 40, 50 people every month to the meetup. You've talked a couple of times.
It's a great event.
Yeah, it's really good. And it's just something that we kind of get the community together and we just talk about use cases, not really product sales, but just about use cases and how Kafka's being used in industry. And there's a lot of finance in London, right? So there's a lot of finance companies that like to kind of explore and showcase how they're using Apache Kafka. So yeah, it's really good, to be honest. And we just love filming and bringing it together on a monthly basis.
Having been a consultant myself, working with Kafka in the past, I think this is a question you're probably going to have to find answers to. Do you have any war stories about Kafka in production that you want to share with the folks at home?
Yeah, I've got a bit of advice actually before you go any further. I think if you're in trouble with Apache Kafka, stop. Do not do anything. do not try and run commands. If you don't know what you're doing, don't go into ChatGPT and start asking for advice around what you should do if you see this error message. Ultimately, if you don't understand what you're doing, just stop, because actually, if you do run like a series of commands, you'll end up making things worse, or you could end up catastrophically making things worse. So just stop and basically contact someone or one of our team that knows exactly what to do in what situation. As it probably could be recoverable, but if you kind of go down a path, you might end up in a position where you're not able to recover your data.
Yep.
A war story, for what I can talk about. A British bank, probably in 2021, was actually running their savings and investments platform on Apache Kafka, and the ledger, which displays whose money is everything, was being run on Docker Compose. And lo and behold, the Docker Compose didn't have backed EBS volumes. So it was ephemeral storage. Kafka was being backed up and had Docker volumes that were being stored on EBS and snapshotted on EBS. However, Zookeeper was not. So when they restarted Docker Compose, or they restarted the box, Docker Compose went down, started back up again. They actually lost all of the metadata for the brokers. So we spent 3 days trawling through actual broker logs on the servers to try and map the metadata, reverse engineer the metadata back to where the topics and partitions were at the state of the restart, and it took for hours. But we did get there. So we created the JSON files which kind of mapped back to the partitions and the brokers they were on, and managed to recover them. But it did take a long time, and that to be honest is the worst war story that we've got.
That is truly like I hear Zookeeper unbacked Docker Compose, and the bottom fell out of my stomach. That is rough.
Yeah.
Another question for you, as we are current Nola surrounded by all these awesome streaming people, what's your favorite thing you've seen so far at the show?
I actually think Lens's revival. So Lenses, I've been around a long time, especially in the streaming and the Kafka space. I actually, one of my kind of, well, not claim to fame, but I actually learned Kafka with one of the Ivan founders back in the early 2012, 2013 days in Helsinki, when I used to live there in the R&D department in F-Secure. So Heikki and we played around with the technology quite a lot. But over the years, the visibility and auditability and traceability and just being able to see into the clusters was a really big problem. Lenses came along a couple of years after and built an amazing product. Their console was really good and it was really widely adopted. However, the product got killed, and it was a really big shame because it was a really good product, and it came from a developer focused usability side of things, and it was a really good product to use from a developer, but also from operations. And we really lost that. Like Conductor came in. But I think like the Lenses revival, I've really looked at their product again and seen what they're doing, building MCP, and I've really enjoyed following their journey over the last couple of weeks and seeing what their product launch is. And obviously, of course, Inkless, that's also been,
of course.
Yeah, I think Inkless is a really fascinating and aspirational goal. I'm really looking forward to hopefully the community adopting the kit and moving things forward, because I think, even if it's just in non-critical use cases, it can save customers a lot of money, especially just with logging or something like that, right? If you're just trying to ship logs and you've got a lot of distributed systems that are capturing these logs and using Kafka at the moment, just having a drop-in replacement like Inkless, on Kubernetes that can do all of this is an amazing offering, and I'm really excited to see where the community takes this. So yeah, with that,
it's a lot of fun. I always appreciate the Inkless shout out. Whilst we're on the topic of vendors and Kafka implementations, sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Kafka vendor?
Vendor, I mean, I would say, but I don't know if this is a vendor, but obviously we support, we're agnostic also. So we don't really we don't try and push any solution on any clients. We try and remain agnostic, and that's, I guess, why customers use us. But I do like the Strimzy operator, because we're basically, we're kind of like, the open source and the Strimzy way and the operator approach to kind of deploying reactive or kind of self-healing clusters is great. But yeah, I guess MSK or Ivan, I mean, our customers kind of use this a combination of both. It really does depend, because I think on Azure, there's not really that offering, and GCP. So GCP is actually, our customers on GCP use Ivan a lot. And on Azure, they probably use Ivan or Strimzy really. So yeah, I think those two really.
Great stuff. One final question for you. What are you excited to see today in this last day of the show occurring?
Well, I'm excited to see quite the buzz around the event is obviously the first thing, and to look at the vendors and see all the different products and stuff like that. But I'm actually, I want to know how especially Confluent are approaching the agentic workflows. I think event-driven architecture is essential for building. The real-time context is what they talked about yesterday, and just trying to get that clear picture of how event-driven architecture can be used in agentic AI. But I think one thing I've seen is that it's so confusing.
Yes,
there's so many moving parts. Customers do not need another platform to learn. They don't need another technology. They need simplification, right? They need to understand, in a series of steps and a kind of a really coherent manner, how can we just deploy, real-time agentic workflows using Apache Kafka? That's what I really want to look around and try and find out if everyone has the answers to that.
Oh yeah, it's something we're hearing a lot interviewing people, is that the agentic stuff is super exciting right now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can people check out more about OSO or Apache Kafka, meet up in London, about you and your work?
Obviously, you can go, just Google Apache Kafka Meetup London. Sign up there. We've got over 3,200 members, and we run a monthly event somewhere in London. Our website is oso.sh, so you can visit us there. We've got lots of technical blogs, and you can check me out on LinkedIn. So yeah, just come there, really. All right.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Always a pleasure.
Thanks.
Disappearing out of shot to get the water, but I'm right back. So, we are moving on with our next guest, Derek from Factor House.
Hey Hugh, how you doing?
How you doing?
Yeah, really well. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
It's been a real pleasure to add you into our show today. Having met, we met at the Pre-Current Social 2 days ago.
Yeah, it was a real treat. It was really nice to get a few engineers together, and I think it kind of kicked off the conference with a really nice vibe. You know.
I think one thing we're talking about a lot at the minute is just how nice the community feeling has been here this year. It's been great. Do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do at Factor House?
Yeah, so I'm the CEO and co-founder of Factor House. Actually, we're a family-founded business. So my wife and I founded the company together, Kylie. And we build a phenomenal UI and API for Kafka and Flink. So vendor agnostic. We're all about empowering engineers to succeed with the underlying technologies.
Yeah.
Basically, the real short, pithy quote is we're aiming to be the jet brains of data engineering. Yeah.
I really like that as a line. Kylie is great as well. Also met her
phenomenal,
this week. She's a wonderful person. One question we're asking everybody, and having led a company building a Kafka and Flink product, I'm sure you have some great answers to this. Do you have any war stories with Kafka and streaming? Do you want to share with the folks at home?
War stories, I have hundreds of them. Actually, the whole reason for our business existing is that I think 6 or 7 years ago, I was sat in a room. We were doing a client implementation of what we used to call a streaming data platform.
Yep.
We were building out some systems for a fintech startup in Australia, and we kind of got into production. Everything was very new. It was all Kafka streams. We were learning as we were building, and as always with my company, we were building everything in Clojure, which is adds an extra fun dimension to it.
I bet.
We get something into production. We've done a release. We've got actually a bank using it for the first time ever.
Yep.
And then we just got these wild lag characteristics where sets of consumer groups were just underperforming and dying. And that was coming out in some really weird symptoms in the actual platform itself. And Tom, who's my head of delivery, and we spent 2 days stuck in a room with a whiteboard trying to correlate what on earth was going on. And actually, in the end, we think we figured it out that it was the host that was serving groups of consumers, and it was all just running up the cloud provider. But something about the host was suffering, and that was coming through in these terrible performance characteristics. And then in classic software style, just as we felt that we'd figured it out, problem went away.
Yeah.
So I never had any resolution to that issue. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I wish I'd figured that one out. So
the one that got away.
The one that got away. That's probably the worst. And then every other terrible Kafka story is always about data migrations, moving from one cluster or one provider to another. That's where most of the pain seems to be.
You have some bad blood with Mirror Maker?
I look, it's best not to talk about it on camera. We're all friends here. But I'd probably just curl up in a ball and start crying if I had to talk about that right now.
If I never have to do another Kafka migration as long as I live, it'll be too soon.
Yeah.
Very happy to be safely in DevRel now.
Yeah, stay safe and stay happy. That's what I would say. Yeah.
As we're at Current Dola, I'm surrounded by all kinds of fun streaming community people. What's your favorite thing that you've seen thus far at the show? Someone you've met, talk you've seen?
So it's there's some real highlights for me, and actually this is our 4th time back. I love the community. Some real standouts for me. Michael Dragalis, who runs Shadow Traffic.
We love Michael.
I wish I had built that product. Synthetic event generation for Kafka. He's a solopreneur, also works in Clojure. Actually, a good friend of mine, and it's been phenomenal to spend some time with him, see how his product's evolving, and actually just learn a bit more about how his business is growing. I just wish I'd built it first. That's all. So that's one. That's been a real highlight. And actually, we've spent some time catching up with the Instacluster team, Andrew Mills. Really great to learn what they're doing. It's actually one of the great things about being in a room with a whole bunch of technologists. It's impossible to keep a track of everybody through the year when you're trying to do your own stuff. And so yeah, that's been really good. Yeah, it's been really superb.
I feel like Michael is always a highlight of a Kafka event for
Yeah.
a lot of people. Like, I think maybe it's like a year ago, just over that, he was launching his product, and I remember watching him kind of like moving around the shows and kind of getting to, you know, talk to people a little bit about shadow trafficking in its infancy, and now he's just like, we had him on the show recently as well. He was great.
Yeah, he's a real operator, actually, just in terms of how he grows his business as well as his tech. Like, I'm going to take some marketing lessons off of him, I think, because, you know, in terms of actually being a technologist out in front, talking about what you're doing, I just love the storytelling aspect of what he does. And then actually, we just got an editor open before, and we're looking at closure code. So, you know, that's always fun for Closure Nerd.
In fear of this turning into the Michael Dragalis fan club, which I'm honestly not mad about.
Yeah.
What are you excited about at the minute with changes coming to Kafka? Obviously, Ivan, we're pushing all kinds of crazy stuff around Nimbus and Iceberg topic, seeing a lot of agentic and MCP elsewhere today. What are you looking forward to?
You know, like, to be a little bit contrary, I'm looking forward to when AI starts solving really boring business problems.
100%.
Really boring. I'm talking about, so we were actually both at Flink Forward in Barcelona recently. Ivan and Fact House were there. And there was a great talk by an engineer from NordLB, and they were experimenting with using AI to do data validation for some know your customer stuff. And I'm like, it's time for AI to start solving really boring problems, because, you know, that's where the utility is for the business. So I think there's lots of aspirational chat about AI. Or maybe I'm just a really old programmer, but I need to see something more real.
I'm with you. I want the difficult, boring problem automated away, and less chatbots offering people a brand new SUV for $5.
Yeah, I think exactly it, right? Like, if you think of the work as engineers that we've done over the years that you don't really want to do, like, that should be analytically capable, like for LLMs to take those tasks over, let's get them doing the drudge. That's what I think. I think also businesses will pay for efficiency. So that's, you know, having the economic side to it too is really important for teams.
One thing that I was particularly interested to ask you about actually is, obviously fantastic you guys are based out in Australia.
Yeah.
What do you find is different in sort of like streaming and open source between, you know, being out kind of in the APAC time zones versus like customers out in Europe and something?
Look, it's I guess there's not such a difference in terms of tech. I think one of the things building and growing a tech company based out of Australia, you have to be focused on value. You have to be focused absolutely on utility. We don't often have access to quite as much funding or, you know, the bigger markets. So you have to find a way to meet the market in a very, very tight way. So, like, you know, we've got lots of success stories out of Australia, like Atlassian and Canva, but they always hit really hard with their product. You kind of got one good shot at winning those customers and keeping them. So I think that's a kind of a common aspect of building a tech company out of Australia. You tend to have that sort of like very close to the utility and value add. Yeah.
I think if the bar is like be excellent, I feel like you and your team are really hitting that, because you guys are just great to work with, and it's been real nice, like, champion you guys hanging out across the conference. Yeah. One last question for you. I know we're kind of getting into the last day of current here, but is there anything else you're excited to see for the rest of the show?
Look, I'm excited to just catch up with a couple more customers. One of the things that we've got a real opportunity to do here is we bring a few of our customers in and we have great sessions with them and just learn about what they need. You know, maybe it's a bit of a bland answer, but I've also been traveling for weeks and I'm ready to go home to Melbourne. But yeah, I've got a couple more customer sessions where we're going to sit down and just pick up some good ideas to implement. I think. Yeah.
It's always the best part, right?
Yeah.
Like having those really meaningful conversations. Well, thank you so much for coming on
Thanks
the show,
for having me on. I really appreciate
it. If people want to find out more about you and the team at Factor House, where can they find you?
Factorhouse.io. Come and check out the website. Jump on our community Slack. Nice and easy.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you. And I have the mic for you.
And now, we're keeping things going.
Yes.
With another of my favorite speakers. Here he comes. With the mug. On
With a
brand.
coffee. Woo!
Ben Gamble.
Hello,
How you
hello,
doing,
Hugh.
friend?
I am doing great. It's great to see you in another country, another city. Yeah.
I know it's always a pleasure. I'm going to shuffle you towards me a little bit
Cool.
into frame. Perfect. Thank you so
Awesome.
much. So, obviously, we've had you on the show before. Personal favorite of mine, but do you want to introduce yourself again for folks at home?
Brilliant. So, hi, I'm Ben Gamble, Field CTO at Bavarica. Mostly that means the Chief Talking Officer. I mostly talk fast about AI, Flink, and I often go by the technology sommelier.
Tech sommelier has been one of my favorite descriptions for a job role in quite a while. The question we're asking everyone today, and I'm sure you have some fun answers. In fact, I know you've got some fun answers. Kafka war stories. Hardest problems to solve, most satisfying problems to solve. What do you got?
So, hardest problem to solve is data skew of message size. What happens when you have messages that range from a couple of bytes to megabytes in the same topic? And oh my, was that a hard one. Particularly when you have a latency requirement, you can't block because like your normal partitioning strategies break down. You end up with this idea of like repartitioning based on message size.
Yep.
So you have like the fast lane for small messages and the oh no lane for everything else. And even like, and this is like really frustrating because like the claim check pattern wasn't used because we had to put it all in Kafka. We had no other access. That was the hardest. The skew is just nightmarish. The craziest one, wow. Basically, fighting compacted topics to use them as an actual database.
Yep.
So we basically built a side index of records and then used time scans to get to them fast. That was a brutally weird use case.
This sounds almost quite similar to the problem I think a lot of people are running into right now with Kafka to Iceberg of like compaction of partition versus segments.
Absolutely, it's exactly the same problem, which is like both of these things come from the same thing, which is that Kafka partitioning is a murmur hash on a key, and you have no more control than that if you don't let it. So like these days, like of course I'd like to do that, but I'm increasingly of the opinion like we could change the partition up front and get something way more powerful. Yeah.
That's a fun idea. You should talk to Greg about building diskless things because that sounds good.
Oh yeah.
A conversation that was had in the hallway yesterday with some hallway dev. We're here in New Orleans, of course, for Paris. Surrounded by the great and good of the Kafka community, which has been really nice. What's been your favorite part of the show thus far?
So, we just had the developer keynote earlier today, and shout out Tim Berglund. That man can run to time like nobody else, and he puts on a show. It was, you can tell why he came back, and he does a damn good job. There was an amazing talk yesterday about data sketches, which I strongly recommend people learn about. So, data sketches are these like algorithms we've all heard of, like hyperlog, estimating things like cardinality of data sets. They run in true real time, like think microseconds to run, and let you process terabytes of data without storing anything. I think we're all asleep on that right now.
This was something I remember talking about a little bit last year with like columnar databases and stuff
Yes.
like that. And it's the kind of data engineering that I feel like is indistinguishable from magic. I'm like,
Absolutely, like Bloom filters, right? When you finally understand how a Bloom filter really works, you can say no or maybe, but maybe it's surprisingly accurate.
this is a question that I'm always excited to ask you because it doesn't matter how frequently I ask it, I always get a different answer. What are you most excited for in the streaming space right now? Like what technology, what kits, what changes really like get you excited?
So I was super excited around the idea of queues in Kafka until I quite saw the implementation, where it's not bad, but it's miscommunicated.
Yes.
It's a really nice way to do high fan out, but it's not a queue. Like queues should not be in Kafka. You should consume it and then act upon it. Kafka is a way to store events and transmit events. It is not a queue. The queuing semantics you can add later. Do not add them in the actual broker. It doesn't make sense. But my favorite bit right now is actually in Flink. So you might have seen Flink agents that came out recently.
Yes.
So I worked with some of the team there, and I actually built an add-on for this myself. So I built something I called Agentic Flink, because of course I'd forgotten they were doing it properly, but I built the memory engine for it. So I have live context management for full context windows plus reverse RAG built and pluggable into Flink agents now.
So what you're telling me is the really cool demo you showed me about 2 months ago is now in production.
It's live. It's now actually licensed on my GitHub, pluggable into all that agentic stuff with the ability to have tiered storage on all of the memory, all the agents involved.
You are the only field CTO I know who is building like prod still and being a field CTO? I don't know how you do it, man.
Mostly it's that my worry is that if I let go of it, I will stop feeling the connection to the people I kind of I work for, right? The same reason in DevRel when I used to work in DevRel. And when we met actually is we both did the same thing, which is like, unless you walk a mile in their shoes, you're not really one of them anymore.
I still blame you for radicalizing me into DevRel. I think you and Tibbs and the rest of the team at Ivan back 3-4 years ago, something like that. A very cool team.
Yes, when we met at that Kafka event in London, and we just started chatting about things. Remember Neil Avery, who's on stage?
Yes.
So him and I still chat regularly about this kind of stuff.
Oh man, I'm so glad Neil's awesome.
Yes.
Another question for you, Nola specific. Aside from being on this very fun podcast, what are you looking forward to today and for the rest of the show?
Well, I'm giving a talk later today. So my talk is one of the last of the sessions. It's going to be about building microservices in Flink, about talking about through event sourcing, backfilling, and some of the features of Flink most people kind of go to sleep on because it's not just an analysis tool. It's a fairly good transactional one as well. And then like also on top of that, it's just like the last few talks are, sadly, I want to go to Kai's talk, but it's at the same time as mine.
Always the way.
I know. I want to catch up with Kai as well because it's been a couple of years since we've seen him in person. And like the big thing for me though is events like this is I get to meet the community directly, right? The hallway track is the true magic of an event like this.
I was very sad to miss Flink Forward this year because I was at All Things Open in Bali. Obviously we're at the Kafka event today, but what were some of the really exciting what are some of the really exciting Flink things at the minute? Obviously talking a little bit about Agentic, but what are some things from Flink Forward that you think people in the Kafka world should know about?
So there is kind of the elephant in the room, which is Plus, of course. But this is where I'm going to say categorically, these two systems are not the same, though they can do similar things. Oh no, we've got people.
Yeah, people are determined.
Well, this is the thing, like this is a live running event. We are doing this live.
Yeah, we're live, guys.
Yeah.
This is all real.
Yeah. And like those people are real attendees going for food, which looks good.
We're competing with lunch.
We are, which is a risky proposition. But yeah, back to Plus. Now, Plus is to analytics what Kafka is to events.
Yeah.
Now, it's not that Kafka is bad per se. Analytics was just never designed with that in mind. Like, go back to Jay's original talk and then Martin Kleppmann's amazing talk about turning database inside out. Plus came from the idea of saying, what happens if our stream was a column? So it's columnar streaming all the way through.
Yeah.
It live persists into Iceberg directly and gives you that query through approach. It's not that you can't do it. Stream-based have proven you can do it really well as well. But it's more about a specialist solution. And the big one there is delta joins. The ability to do joins in Flink without clocking up state at every single turn. That is kind of the big takeaway. Now, of course, I'm always been in the agentic modeling space, so agentic AI was a big thing for me. And I gave my talk about writing stories for children, which is always good fun. But yeah, like the biggest win for Flink Forward though is just like, I think, especially listening to the LinkedIn talks, where they're now ripping out Spark for Flink for batch processing because of one, performance gains, but two, you always need real time, right? And if you have to have both, and Flink is at least as efficient as Spark and batch, we're normalizing on Flink now. And the big takeaway is it's not about real time, it's about now. And this is like, you guys see now, like the whole message is now, it's about data now, not data in real time. Because think about why you do everything. You do this fast, so when your dashboard hits, you get your answer now. But why are you paying for now when your data's from last week?
The perennial question, data engineering, like, what is real time to you?
Yes.
Ben, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So great. If people want to see all the weird and wonderful world of things that you build, where can they go to find out more?
So obviously go to viverica.com. A lot of my content's there. Find me on GitHub or Twitter. I'm Ben Gamble7 most places, though I think my GitHub handle is still UGBot or something ridiculous from many, many years ago in an Unreal Tournament joke.
That's a deep cut going back to Unreal.
Very much. UT99 all the way.
Well, enjoy your teeny tiny coffee and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Nice to meet you, man.
There we go.
Yes.
Cheers, Ben.
Cheers.
Cool. Coming up now.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'll walk away with that one.
The live stream. Thank you for sticking with us at home. We have lots more experience. Recorded. Here we go. Alex Mercer.
Hey,
how are you doing?
Doing good.
Great to have you back.
Yes. Oh, it's great to be back in Kafka-Nated.
Yeah.
Great to be talking to you in person this time. This is awesome.
Yeah. here we are, both with legs,
Yes.
in the flesh.
We're no longer just shoulders and heads.
Yes, yeah, very exciting. So, for those who
All good.
Everything okay?
Yeah, the camera disconnected, but it's back and we're good. Okay, one more thing to check. Okay, sorry folks, we're back. Slight technical hiccup there, not sure what happened. So Alex, you were introducing yourself.
Oh yes, again, my name is Alex Merced, head of DevRel at Dremio, and basically my job is to get people excited about the data lakehouse, Apache Iceberg, Apache Arrow. So bottom line, writing a lot of tutorials, going around speaking. But I've gotten the honor to be a co-author on books like Apache Iceberg, the Definitive Guide, Apache Polaris, the Definitive Guide. Right now, I'm doing my first solo book with architecting an Iceberg Lakehouse for Manning. So bottom line is just about educating, excitement, and energy around the data lakehouse space.
So a question we've been asking everyone today is, do you have any Kafka war stories? But I'm gonna flip that on its head a little bit and ask, do you have any Iceberg war stories you'd like to share with the folks at home?
I'll give you both.
Perfect. Even
So I did write a tutorial on actually like using Kafka Connect with Apache Iceberg. So basically, I had to set up a whole sort of Kafka Connect, the Kafka environment on my laptop to create that tutorial, and that was it took me a second to get all the settings just right. So that was definitely a lot of days of just really diving deep into the Kafka Connect documentation and the Kafka documentation, getting really deep into like Docker networking. But I eventually got it all set up, and the tutorials over there on Dremio.com where people can actually literally recreate this environment where they can, mock stream data right into an Iceberg table if they want from their laptop.
amazing. Obviously, we're here at Current New Orleans, enjoying this very nice city. What have been some of your favorite things from the show thus far?
For me, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, this morning I got to be part of the day 2 keynote. The after party last night was amazing. I got to hang out with the Snake and follow like a second line down the street to find the venue. That was a lot of fun. Had a lot of great conversations about the lake house. I mean, people are excited about Iceberg, so when they come to our booth and they want to talk about Iceberg, and I am definitely someone who loves talking about Iceberg. So I'm going to have a lot of those conversations this week. So overall, this is me and my element.
Oh, yeah. I love that for you. One thing that we've spoken about a little bit before is Kafka to Iceberg. That's the right path, right? You've got Iceberg is seemingly the winning standard table format. Kafka is ubiquitous streaming. What is your preferred way to get data from Kafka into Iceberg?
It depends on the use case. So like I definitely don't necessarily say, hey, I have a conviction of, hey, this is the right way to do it.
Yep.
Bottom line is I would always just start with sort of first question is really figuring out what is the use case, what is the data set, what is your required latency, because that'll determine sort of what options. I mean, Iceberg is going to be great, and you can get pretty low latency with Iceberg with a lot of tools like Ivan, tools like Kafka Connect and Flink and whatnot. But then sometimes if you like, there are going to be some use cases where writing to disk first and then delivering it, you're still going to miss that. Necessarily want to maybe skip the writing to disk part and maybe use some sort of alternative method to get the data there for like sub-second latency or something like that. So it's really starting with the end in mind and working backwards. And that's also like a big topic in the book I'm writing, Architecting an Iceberg Lakehouse, where it's not about just doing Iceberg. It's first kind of thinking about what am I trying to do and then designing to that end.
It's a really good answer. I like that. Can I ask a controversial question?
Please do.
Favorite catalog?
Favorite catalog? Oh, not controversial at all. For me, it is definitely Apache Polaris. Now, the reason being is that I believe very much in standards, and I think there's a really important role in having a standard catalog play into it, because once there is sort of a catalog that sort of captures enough market share, then what happens is that catalog can start determining what are the standard APIs for things outside of Iceberg. So how do I handle tracking and governing unstructured data, other types of file formats, and things like that? And I think Polaris is best positioned to be that sort of community-run open standard. And then it has basically inside of it features like generic tables. There's a table sources proposal that all are going to be able to really enable things outside of Iceberg to be all governed by one central catalog.
Polaris is very cool as well, and I'm it's one of those things where like the beautiful combination of like a lot of my favorite people working on it, like you got you obviously, Danica, Snowflake, Celeste now joining Snowflake. Like it's really cool to see some awesome DevRels in the space.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting. I mean, and everyone's brought together because it's an open source project. Like, there's a lot of great catalogs out there. Like, I don't want to discount any of the other catalog options, whether they're the ones from the major hyperscalers or others. But at the end of the day, like, when you have an open community standard, that means you're not locked into like a particular deployment model or a particular service provider, and that allows everyone to kind of contribute to what the standard is, and allows that standard to become much more interoperable with many more people support it.
Yeah, I think the catalog space is like super exciting right now. As we see more and more like building these standards, crystallizing around a solution that everyone can get behind. Like it's very cool. Obviously, we're kind of getting into the second day now. Current, everyone feeling a little sleepy. Everyone feeling the party yesterday. But what are you looking for the rest of today?
At this point, I feel like now I just get to relax and kind of like enjoy the event. Like all the things that I kind of scheduled are done. Might take another walk down AI Alley. So for anyone in the space, like there's this AI art gallery, and you might find a piece made by somebody with a Dremio beanie there. So check that out. Excited about that, and actually now take a time to actually see everyone's booths and see everyone's setups. So now that sort of like my list of tasks have been completed.
Yep, I know that feeling so well. When you're like, I've done my talk, and I can go in to say hi to my friends, and I can get some swag, and I can have lunch, and I don't have to be making slides in my hotel room.
Yes, no, slides in the hotel room has really been life lately. Like I've been doing, particularly the last month or so, I'm doing a lot of traveling and has multiple events in the week. So, and my problem is I keep doing, like basically pitching like almost a whole separate presentation instead of every talk. So I've been having to create so many slide decks. I probably should have just like done the same talk everywhere. That would have been much easier, but it's been a journey.
It's the first competence, right? But you're like, well, I want to talk about things that be interesting and learn stuff. And you're like, oh, I have to write all these talks now.
Yeah.
Like, this is a problem.
100%. Like, but I've definitely gotten my Google presentation skills on lock.
That's so real. You're like a complete wizard of the software now.
I try.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure. Where can people find out more about you and Dremio after the show?
Well, I recommend everyone heads over to dremio.com. You can check out the blog where you can find a lot of the content that I've written. You can find links to download the books. You can find all my blogs and everything as far as where you can follow me on social media over there at alexmerced.com. So dremio.com, alexmerced.com. I'm not hard to find.
Amazing. And everyone at home, buy Alex's book.
Please do. Yes, please do. Whether it's Apache Iceberg, the definitive guide, Apache Polaris, the definitive guide, or pre-ordering the new Architecting an Iceberg Lakehouse.
All this to look forward to. Well, Alex, thanks again.
Thank
See
you.
you around.
See ya.
Amazing. So we are now coming up on our final speaker of the show, founder of ByteWax, currently doing all kinds of exciting things. Confluent. I met him back at PyData London a couple of years ago. Great little conference.
All right.
Check it out if you're over in the UK. And here he is. Hey, Xander.
Hello,
how's it going?
How you doing?
Great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you too. Do we both fit in the frame? I'm not quite as tall as you.
We were having a conversation beforehand about like how we're going to frame this shot.
Yeah.
And like most people are a little bit shorter than me, so we had to think about that. And I was like, Xander and I, we're going to be fine. We're going to be in frame, and it's nothing to worry about. So yeah, and I think I'm confident that that's worked out. So we're all good.
Cool.
First question for you: for people at home who maybe aren't familiar with you and your work, do you want to introduce yourself? Talk about what you do.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Xander. I currently work at Confluent, where I'm a product manager on the Flink project. And so I work across PyFlink open source, and then I work on some internal stuff, and also on our DBT adapter that's coming out for Confluent Flink. Prior to that, I was founder. I started a company called ByteWax, which we built a open source stateful stream processor that was Python with a Rust engine. Worked on that for about 5 years. My background is mostly in machine learning and data science. And just, going on the journey of life.
It was a real treat meeting you and your team back at PyData London a couple of years ago and chatting with you about ByteWax and about data. Like, it was a lot of fun.
Same.
I was introing you today being like, oh, Xander, my friend from PyData. Like, so one question we're asking everyone today, and I'm sure you have some fun stories here, having been building in the space. Any Kafka war stories you want to share with people at home?
I don't know if I have particular Kafka war stories. I mean, they made a lot of great changes. So, I mean, something that is no longer a thing with Kafka and the Python Confluent Kafka client is async is coming out. It's in a beta phase, and support for 3.14. I mean, the GIL stuff will be sorted out probably in the next version, but people are like working through that, and so there's a lot more love coming that way. I think maybe that's the horror story. Like, it was not loved, it is now given the love it needs.
You and many other Python maintainers, people maintaining Python projects, I should say, were in my thoughts when everything about free threading and the GIL lock came out in more recent Python releases. And I was like, oh, this is going to add a lot of cool functionality. It's going to be a lot of work to make it happen.
Yeah, a lot of work to make it happen. I think it's like a hurry up and wait kind of thing. It's like everyone holds their breath because so much needs to change, and it's TBD how things shake out, but it's going to take a while. For sure.
Very exciting. I'm watching this space eagerly. Settling into the second day of the conference now. I think people are winding down a little bit after the big party yesterday. What have been some of your favorite moments thus far from Current?
So this is my first Current as an employee of Confluent and not as a vendor or independent speaker. And so for me, the conference is very different. I did have a talk, and so that was fun and did the talk. But I've been in a lot of meetings where it's like customers that come here, and now they want to hear what does Confluent think about XYZ? So that's been very different. I've had less chance to hang out with you all, and it's like it's a small community. And the thing I was thinking about when you were 2 years ago, PyData, it's like jobs change. Roles change, titles change, but the relationships between us all are always still there. So coming here is fun. You see all your friends and stuff that you see once a year or maybe twice a year.
This is one thing that I think has come up a lot today, is that feeling of community. Sure, some people are competitors, sure, some people work for vendors or whatever, or they have differences of opinion on how the technology should work. But it's a good vibe. Everyone gets on. It's really nice.
It's so small, and we're all in it together. It's such a small. I mean, once you're stuck in the streaming space, you're you're here. You're part of this. You're one of us. You're fighting the good fight.
Once you're in, that's it. You're in for life. You got to have opinions about Kafka, and you got to go to all the events. But hey, they're fun events, so it's great. Speaking about the streaming space, lots of exciting news from Confluent at the moment. We've had Forward recently, loads of news dropping from Flink, from Verica. Obviously, there's a lot happening in the open source space too. Is there anything right now that you're particularly excited about, perhaps in addition to new Python versions unlocking the new stuff in PyFlink?
I'm the worst person to ask because I am always in the processing layer. And so I treat Kafka like everyone else treats S3.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's my exciting thing for Kafka, period. It's it becomes... for better, for worse, commoditized, and everyone uses it, and it's like a storage-ish layer, and then we can do cooler processing things on top. I hope that in the future there's a world where we can start to push down some of the processing. Because that would really make that a lot more appealing, performance-wise and cost-wise. So those things can come. Some of the changes in architecture could lead to a world in which we can do stuff like that. So I guess those are exciting.
It's definitely I 100% agree with that feeling of commoditized Kafka versus even a couple of years ago, maintaining open source Kafka at scale. It is so much easier to be maintain a Kafka cluster now and to just build stuff. Whereas before you were way more in the weeds, even for basic stuff.
I feel like we went. I mean, once again, I'm not the right person, but I feel like we went from here's the Kafka, bend it to here's Kafka, and it's one type, bend it to your will. So now we're in the everyman's Kafka, or not everyman's Kafka. We're in the Kafka. There is a type of Kafka for every man or woman or person. And we're going to the every person's Kafka will be the next phase of the journey where it's all kind of harmonized underneath and abstracted in a way where you don't have to worry about, I'm the low latency guy, or I'm the high throughput guy, or I'm the low cost person. You can get what you need.
With Kafka being kind of this commodity component for you, do you have obviously I'm realizing I'm asking this question to someone who works at Confluent now, but do you have a preferred Kafka, like, or a preferred streaming solution that's just like super chill to work with Flink?
Yeah, the one that works. Yeah.
Yep.
No. I mean, the protocol. It's like it's all about the like the API and the protocol, and like everyone's conformed to that. That's the standard, and so it's really that's why for me it's kind of commoditized like that. We built stuff into that API. Like I said, I wish we could push more stuff down. Maybe that will come in the future. There's like always it's a surfacing conversation, so at some point someone will pick it up and push it through. But
well, thank you so much. One question for you before we wrap up.
Yeah.
What are you excited for the last however many hours of current this afternoon? Like, what are you looking forward to? Any socials? Any talks? Like, what's coming?
I'm wrapping up right now, so I'm gonna say bye to people, and then I'll see them next year.
Amazing. Well, safe travels.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
See you again next year, or maybe hopefully earlier.
I hope so.
Yeah.
If people want to check out you or your work or the stuff your team are doing with Pipelink, where can they find out more?
Yeah, I guess people can reach me on LinkedIn, Xander Matheson. I think there's not very many of us out there. Otherwise, some of the stuff we're doing on Pipelink open source is in the public. So there's flips and like join the dev mailing list for Flink, and then you can see some of those things changing.
Amazing.
Flink Slack or Confluent Slack. Yeah, one of those.
Well, get over there, folks, and check out all kinds of cool Pipelink things.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank
you so much, Xander.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of it. Well, safe travels.
Thank you.
See you around.
See you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone who joined us live today for this very special Get Kafka-Nated, a little new thing for us. We'll see how it goes. Let us know what you think on LinkedIn. In the next episode coming up, I believe next week on November 5th, we're going to be joined by Kyle from the Opthelm team, who are some of the very first people to be putting this Kafka in production in the real world. And they're going to have all kinds of fun things to share about that. Thank you for watching. See you next time.